So welcome to How to Follow Up with Agencies. This is the last webinar of the day. We're very lucky to have Thomas Burns, one of our procurement specialists, delivering this wrap-up presentation. My name is James Forrest. I'm the program coordinator. Thomas Burns is one of our procurement specialists, as I mentioned. We're going to get into it pretty quick. Questions are very welcome, more than welcome. They're very valued. So please enter questions into the Q&A tab, not the chat, into the Q&A. We can use the chat for networking and chatting with each other. And we'll have some time to read out questions aloud and pose them to our presenter, Thomas, at the end of the presentation, about 5 to 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and just get started. Hand things over to Thomas. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, James. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you've had a successful matchmaking event. All right, so this information provided herein is accurate to the best of my ability at the time of this presentation. Some or all of the provisions mentioned herein could or may have changed by the current administration with or without prior notice. All right, so how to follow up with agencies. So the agenda, we're going to focus on face-to-face meetings. I'm talking about virtual meetings, then using phone and email, and some of the most common mistakes to avoid during follow-up. Now, this is going to be a very, my matchmaking was a success. What do I do now? So this webinar is designed to give you guys a how-to and motivation for taking the meeting that you just had with the buyers and building it into a business relationship that really produces results. Now, the webinar is going to provide examples that you can adopt and implement immediately. Okay, so following up is one of the most difficult aspects of marketing to agencies. So let's assume you did everything right during your matchmaking session, right? You made a great impression. You clearly described your company, its experiences and expertise, and how you can be a true asset to that agency. The buyers you met with, they expressed a real need for your services and encouraged you to follow up, or they gave you a very short list of their forecasted needs for, let's say, the next 12 months, and at least one of these looks promising. The most important thing to do now is to follow up aggressively, but correctly. You don't want these people to forget about you. So how do you follow up in a way that produces meaningful results and builds upon that 15-minute interaction you just had? Next slide. Thank you. Face-to-face meetings. Now, people really do want to get back to normal. And for most of us, that means having face-to-face meetings again. Yes, there are people who are looking forward to face-to-face meetings, such as myself. Out of all the things that you could be asking for a face-to-face meeting or demonstration is the most ambitious. In fact, you should ask for an opportunity to demonstrate your product or service to an entire team of contracting officers or managers. Regardless of what you sell to the government, being able to meet in a room full of contracting officers or their managers and demonstrate your product or service is the best way to build strong relationships with that agency. Now, you might be thinking, is this even possible? Are we allowed to visit an agency and meet face-to-face with decision makers? Well, I personally know for a fact that yes, it's done and it's encouraged. One of the keys to securing a face-to-face meeting, though, is doing your research or homework on that agency or department. During the matchmaking event, you hopefully learn some good information about their needs, who's responsible for buying, or the managers that are responsible for using the products or services that the buyers buy for them. But beyond that, you still have to learn everything you can from their own website or the newsletters that they put out or any posted meeting notes or anything you can find online. The more that you know and understand the agency and its needs, the more likely that you will come up with some valid reasons why they would say yes to a face-to-face meeting. In my past, I was a supplier and I worked aggressively to do business with primes and government agencies. And I was able to meet with dozens of different contracting officers and managers at their offices without violating any rules or regulations. I'm gonna give you a few examples. I was able to set up a meeting with a small team of managers and a buyer for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, that's SMUD, at their offices to show off a new type of cable management device for their data centers. I've had plenty meetings with different supplier diversity managers at firms such as Comcast, Hyatt Hotels, Hewlett Packard, and many others. I've had a meeting with a buyer and the small business advocate at the California Department of Consumer Affairs to discuss their marketing strategies that they were seeking. I've also met with a group of transportation agencies here in the Bay Area who were seeking assistance with their outreach strategies. And using my CPUC certification, that's the California Public Utilities Commission, I was able to secure face-to-face meetings with several water districts here and in the Bay Area and in Nevada. Now, almost all of these meetings allowed me the ability to build direct relationships and learn so much more about that firm and their agency's needs. I would also love to say that these face-to-face meetings always resulted in immediate business, but that's just not the case. I did win more than I lose, but it's not a guarantee. However, it's also important to note that sometimes face-to-face meetings just are not allowed. A good example is when there is a current RFP or bid proposal up for grabs at the time regarding your own product or service that you're selling. At that point, it would not be the right time to request a meeting with buyers and managers. Next slide. Virtual meetings. Now, for me, this is a great plan B, right? Say that you do everything you can to encourage that buyer for a face-to-face meeting, but the answer is a hard no. So your backup then is say, well, hey, let's do a virtual meeting. You want to encourage, if you can do that, then encourage all of the contracting officers and buyers who are relevant to your product or service to be part of this virtual meeting. Another cool thing about this is a lot of the buyers, they prefer the virtual meeting platform than the face-to-face. So that might really work in your favor. Now, how do you get greater participation of a virtual meeting? Well, you want to let them know that you can do your meeting in less than 15 minutes. This is essentially a sales technique. You want to help to guarantee participation by committing that you'll finish your presentation within under 15 minutes. Now, what usually happens is that at some point, somebody within that organization is going to have questions, especially if you do a good job with your presentation and the engagement of the questions. They're going to end up asking questions. We'll run it longer than the 15 minutes. And that way you're achieving what you've set out as to make sure it's only 15 minutes, but they are requesting that it go longer because they have questions. And again, your focus is always about their needs, their mission, and their goals. The more you learn about their organization and their needs, the better you can highlight your company as a solution for them. Because in the end, that's what they really do care about. How can you satisfy their needs? Your goal is to make them see that devoting only 15 minutes of their time to a virtual meeting will produce a viable solution for their problems or issues. And one more important point about virtual meetings, and this also relates to face-to-face, but you want to create really great questions. You want to ask good questions and the right questions. Your ability to ask right questions will give you an advantage. And I'm going to give you 3 quick examples. What is the specific monetary threshold for direct solicitations of my name your product or service, right? You want to know, at what level, dollar-wise, can they do a direct purchase without it having to be turned into an RFP situation? Are there other buyers in your agency who I should be working with? And what acquisition method do you prefer to use when buying, again, name my product or service? The third one is really important because as a buyer, they have multiple acquisition methods or ways of making a purchase. And by asking the question, what method do they prefer, you can kind of get an understanding of what's going to be the best way to position yourself that will make them most comfortable purchasing from you. But again, with the right research, I'm sure you can come up with several relevant questions to ask buyers and managers. Next slide, please. All right, using phone and email to develop relations with buyers. So let's say you tried plan A and they said no. You wanted plan B, the virtual, and again, that said no. So then you're forced to rely on plan C. And while I'm not a huge fan of using phone and email, at the same time, well, that's only really because that's a method that we all use, right? And it's hard to stand out against your competition. But still, you can build a relationship and move your marketing goals forward nonetheless using phone and email. Here are some of the tips that I would recommend. Number one, you want to make sure you demonstrate your professionalism with every single email and every phone call. Even if you've been in business for less than a year, you need to leave them with the impression that you are an expert in your industry and that your firm is full of dedicated professionals who can do the work. Number two, you want to create marketing materials designed to impress that specific agency. For example, take what you learned from that 15-minute interaction with the matchmaking event within that agency. And what you learned, you can actually turn the existing capability statement you have into one specifically designed for that agency. You want to prove to those contracting officers and managers that their agency stood out to you, right? And that your firm is the best solution for their challenges. Number three, when you follow up with additional phone calls, just do so once, phone calls and emails. Try to do once every 30 days. Bombarding them with emails and phone calls once a week is counterproductive. So once every 30 days is about right. At the same time, if you don't get a response immediately, keep at it. It could be that the email you're sending or the voicemail you're leaving isn't giving them a call to action. You know, you're not giving them a reason to reply back. I'm not saying that that is the reason, but that could be. My essential point here is don't give up so easy if they don't reply back immediately. And finally, let's say you learn that you're not a good fit for that agency in the end. That's fine, but see if they can tell you why. And if you've done a good job of showing your professionalism via the phone and the email, it's a pretty good bet that they'll be able to refer you to an agency who could use your products or services. Next slide. All right, most common mistakes to avoid during follow-up. Now, while this is a short list, it's extremely important that you avoid these mistakes when following up after a matchmaking event of this type. Again, I'm kind of being repetitive, but if they don't reply, don't write them off so quickly. Before you give up, find out why. Another one is sending generic emails to all the buyers that you met with. This is an example of lazy marketing. Your audience, they can spot that a mile away, and it doesn't show the value that you place into that agency that you want to do business with them. Another one is not using a CRM database to track and manage your leads and prospects. CRM stands for Customer Relation Management Software, and it's a key tool used by salespeople. Making each prospect feel special to your firm by being able to remember things that are important during a conversation. A great example is what we just went through today with the matchmaking. I'm sure you took notes on what they talked about, what they said. You want to put that into your notes within your CRM. Then when you send them an email or you're talking to them on the phone, you can easily refer back to those notes to remember what was really key. And so you can show them that you remembered. You know, it's an easy way when you're trying to network with 20, 30, 40 different buyers in different multiple agencies. Having a system in place to keep track of all that information is really valuable. And our CRM tool allows you to do that. Another one, just because they say no now doesn't mean that they're going to say no a year from now. You're playing what we call the long game, right? You're not just trying to win a contract immediately. You know, this could take a while, and you want to position yourself so that as you build that relationship, business can come in multiple different forms. And finally, not asking the right questions. Again, describing how wonderful your company might be simply is not enough. You want to take the time to study the organization's missions and goals. Then you want to ask relevant questions and listen carefully to their answers. Being able to be effective in doing that will impress them, and you'll be able to stay engaged with buyers and managers. Next slide. Following up is the key to success. Yeah, so in conclusion, if this was your first matchmaking event, or you're a veteran of these types of events, my message really is the same. Following up is the key. You want to be aggressive, but professional at the same time. It's really how large firms secure contracts over and over again. They stay relevant to the decision makers, right? They push the envelope without going too far. They meet with the buyers and with the managers who actually use the products or services that the contracting officers buy for them. They know months ahead of time what that agency will need and what their budgets will be. These are the keys to having greater knowledge and access to specific agencies you want to do business with. I did go through this pretty quickly. I hope this presentation has been helpful. And I would like to remind you that if you are looking for direct assistance or advice on how to follow up with agencies in a very detailed way, then I invite you to sign up for services with Norcal PTAC. All of our procurement specialists have years of experience in this area, and I would like to open this up for any questions right now.
All right, we've got plenty of time for questions. I don't see any in the Q&A yet, so this is a nice opportunity to ask Thomas do's and don'ts of following up while you have him here. It's like Doug is starting in on a question. All right, waiting for the questions to come in. I just want to thank everybody, and like Thomas just mentioned, you can sign up on our website, norcalptac.org. I'll maybe go through the website in a second if we have some time. So no questions in the chat.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. Maybe we squeezed all the questions out of them. We're coming up on 4. I know I've been going since 10 in the morning on this here. All right. There we go. I had a feeling there would be some. All right, here now they're coming in full. Okay, Thomas, is there a PTAC in the south of the country? There are PTACs across the country. In fact, there is a link right on the screen there. Find your local PTAC, aptac-us/find-a-PTAC. That is going to be your resource for finding a PTAC anywhere in the whole nation. So there's PTACs all across the country. Krishna has a question, but Krishna, I don't see a question actually entered. Please enter that into the Q&A, but we will wait for you to enter it. Doug has a question here. Doug's asking, a question came up about if we're certified with the California Department of DGS. If we are SB, does this mean we're certified? So this is someone just asking sort of a contracting question about state. Can you cover that?
Okay, so you're certified as an SB with the state of California, and they're asking, does that mean they're also certified with the DGS? Oh, the answer is yes. Yeah, Department of Government Services, yeah, for the state of California. Another fact is your SB certification with the state also qualifies with many different cities and counties and different transportation agencies throughout the state. I don't have the exact link right now, but on the DGS website, you can do a search for, I think it's called reciprocal
Reciprocity
agency.
partners?
Yeah, partners, reciprocity partners. And it will give you a list. I believe it's like 32 different agencies will accept your SB certification.
Pretty nifty. Non-state agencies will also accept them. So, all right. Thanks, Doug. Krishna is asking, for IT buyers, do we need to focus on reaching purchasing buyers or the IT directors?
I would say both. So that's what I meant by the buyers and the managers. You know, the managers are the individuals, and they have different names based on agencies and departments. But I just use managers as a kind of go-to name. But those are the people within the agencies who actually utilize the products or services that they need. And the buyers are in charge of making sure that they get what they need. So understanding what the managers need and the buyers' acquisition methods is very critical. James? Uh-oh. I think I'm frozen. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if you can hear me, but regarding the GSA acquisition tool, the answer is, from what I've read, it is semi-accurate, okay? It fluctuates. They put out that information on the acquisition tool at some point in the past, and so things could change. James, are you with us again?
I'm back. Sorry, it looked like my Zoom had just had enough of Zoom today. It's overheating.
Okay.
The Zoom account is really sick of it, so I could keep going now. So did you just answer another question, or?
I was working on the question regarding the acquisition forecast and and I don't know if they were able to hear me or not when you were gone.
Okay, I think folks have been able to hear you. I see in the chat.
Okay.
I think it was me who ditched out. So
okay. So yeah, it's semi-accurate. That's what I've been told when I've done the research myself, is that it was accurate when it was first posted as a forecast, but things can change within a month, and so they don't go back and make new updates to that forecast.
All right, thanks. And did we get to the how soon and how frequently should we follow up question?
Oh, I didn't see that one. So
Okay.
my answer would be every 30 days, based on the many conversations I've had with the advocates and the buyers. They don't like it when the suppliers send out emails or phone calls weekly or every 2 weeks. So 30 days is a good number.
All right, 30 days. We have a question here. Where can I check SBA and SAM? That's kind of a general contracting question.
Are they looking for SBA contracting opportunities, or?
I am not sure. Maybe checking on certification status, or?
Well, so contracting opportunities.
They said yes. So I assume that's what they mean.
So under SAM, yeah. So in the SAM, under their contracting link, you can put in a search using the different federal agencies. So the SBA would be there, and it should show you all the different contracting opportunities under the SBA.
Okay, great.
If they're having challenges with that, that's one of the things that we can, offer as a, one-on-one help.
Great. Karen is asking, do agencies impose restrictions around communication through messengers like WhatsApp or LinkedIn?
I don't know if any agency that's using them, to be honest with you, but that doesn't mean that they're not. I know that they are a fan of LinkedIn heavily. Most buyers and the managers, yeah, they like LinkedIn as a networking platform. I don't know if they use it for communicating with suppliers, though, to be honest with you. I'm not sure.
All right. Calix is asking, what is your key advice for a newbie company, a brand new startup?
In terms of following up?
Following up or contracting? How to go about it?
Well, for following up and as a new to government contracting, I always advocate that you build a relationship so that you can go after what they call the smaller micro purchases. I think it's one of the best ways to get your foot in the door. So micro purchases are when the agency needs to buy something that's between $5, $10, $15, $20,000 or under, and they're able to just contact a few suppliers, get a quote, and make a decision. And if you're on their radar, if they've met you, or if they, by you doing the relationship building, they end up with some trust and value about what you can do, you have a really good opportunity for them to send you a phone call or an email asking for a quote.
All right, perfect. All right, do we have any more questions here before we wrap things up for the day? I don't see any, so I will just say thanks to everyone for joining. This is we're wrapping up here at 4 o'clock. Hope you guys all had some nice meetings. There are going to be some networking sessions, unhosted, so also unstructured. So can't guarantee that you'll enjoy them, but that's kind of up to you to make them fun. There will be that's on the agenda at the very bottom. There we go. You can, yep, unstructured. So thanks, Thomas, for this presentation. Thanks to everyone for joining.
My pleasure.
As I mentioned, all of this has been video recorded, and we also have slides that we'll be sending out to all the registrants later today. We're also going to send out a survey, so do take a look for that. We really do care about what you think. This is why we do it, is to help out small business owners like you, presumably most of you. So do let us know what you think, and we can improve our services for next year. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. This has been great, and hope to see you at future events. Remember, Norcal PTAC is always hosting webinars, maybe not always all-day webinars, but we do 1 or 2 hour ones on an almost weekly basis. So do check out our website. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.